first place that opera hit in Ireland was Wexford, because in the 18th century Wexford was one of the busiest ports in Ireland. So there are records going back that we've had opera in Wexford since 1778, which was 20 years before our own rebellion, and a little bit before, a little bit after the US Revolution and before the French Revolution, just to place it in its historical context. And then wind the clock on to the early 1900s, Dr. Tom Welch, who was born in November 1911, grew up regularly visiting the Theatre Royal, which the Opera House now replaces, and performed on stage as a young man, or as a teenager, though the term wasn't invented then, with Wexford Light Opera Society. So they established what was then known as the Wexford Festival of Music and the Arts in 1951, which later became Wexford Festival Opera. We're fortunate in Wexford that we've had amazing sponsors and philanthropic donors. So to a certain extent our financial model has always been half in Europe and half in the US, is that we're not as dependent as European companies on public sector funding. So therefore we're dependent for our security on people's donations, and we have amazing donors around us, and they're continuing to support us. In fact, look behind me, it was not just public sector funding, but there's of what's behind me here, 7 million of that in the past few years came from private sector and commercial donors. So financially we're continuously I suppose on a very fine edge, but we know we have the people around us to support us. The biggest challenge artistically is that for 57 years we worked in very, very poor, cramped conditions, and we could put on opera that people would make allowances for us with a tiny stage, 6 metre wide proscenium arch with only 5 metres from the pros arch to the back wall, awful dressing rooms, and people were amazed at how we could deliver it. We've nowhere to hide now. We've got the world's best small opera house. So our challenge now is artistically to ensure that what we put on this stage justifies the description of this opera house. I'm really excited about this year's programme, because Virginia is just such a magnificent big opera. It's going to fill this opera house, and then the melody of our Czech opera this year, the Bishke, which we performed as the Kiss back in 1984, but we're doing it really justice here with native Czechs on the stage. We have a big orchestra in the pit, and the sheer melody of that, I think, is going to overwhelm our audiences. And yet at the same time our middle opera this year, which is the Golden Ticket, and you can see the set being built behind me, is that the facilities we have here allow us to do such big stage spectacles as the Golden Ticket.